Trevor Milton, the founder of the company Nikola, the second Elon Musk as he was called in the media at the time, started with a promise to release electric trucks. In January 2017, Nikola presented a ready-made electric truck as his wont on a large round stage, in the manner of Tesla and Apple. Twitter account Nikola Motor, which promoted the event, stressed that the truck is already fully operational. The journalists were even allowed to sit in it and press the buttons. During the presentation, Trevor emphasized the user-friendly touchscreens in the cockpit. In fact, of course, it was simply the only part of the truck that was running. Although it wasn't powered by the electric motor inside, but simply by the wires held under the stage. Practically, the company did not have any production facilities. In order to construct this prototype truck, several Nikola employees went to a regular hardware store. There was absolutely nothing inside the basic structure, apart from the comfortable seats and a couple of tablets inserted into the dashboard. But the company has already begun collecting pre-orders at $375,000 apiece. They stated that Nikola One has been developed, tested, and is now being launched into series production. Nikola Motors itself initially consisted of just Trevor, his friends and his father. Then they hired a few dozen more people who were mainly involved in marketing, social networks, order processing and website support. Majority of them had no idea that there was no production team in their company. But little by little time waxed on, and the hype from the January event fell. Failure of trust escalated. People started to raise questions. The company had to present something new. And so, at the beginning of 2018, a video is finally released, a Nikola One truck briskly driving through the desert. The trick was that they just towed the truck to the top of the hill and then let it roll back. One of the truck doors had to be duct taped to keep it in place. No wonder, everyone who worked on the video had to sign a so-called non-disclosure agreement. A 3D model of the truck was simply bought from a Croatian designer for a couple of $1,000s. And then they sued Tesla for $2 billion, alleging that Tesla infringed their patents and stole their intellectual property. The lawsuit, of course, was lost, but the media have already spread the news, and part of the public stuck to the opinion that there's no smoke without fire. A year after the Nikola video was released, the company announced that they are going to install hydrogen stations across America for electric vehicles charging. Trevor stated in an interview that before that people were too narrow-minded. In fact, Nikola is primarily an energy company like Shell or BP, not an automaker. Their global goal is to change the entire energy market. Trevor's younger brother, who worked at a construction site before working at Nikola, was responsible for innovative hydrogen technologies, and the infrastructure manager who was in charge of building the hydrogen plants had previously worked as a golf club manager in Idaho. To the objections that refueling a car with hydrogen costs 3 times more than charging with electricity and there is no point in building such stations, Trevor quickly left the interview and said that Nikola's unique technology allows to make hydrogen production incredibly cheap, less than $3 per 1 kilogram, 81% cheaper than the rest. Such a gigantic scientific breakthrough, again, within the company was made by his younger brother. In November 2019, Nikola announced that it had solved one of the biggest challenges facing green energy, the high-density battery. She developed a prototype that delivers 4 times the energy density of standard lithium-ion batteries. And capable, for example, to support the Tesla Model S at a distance of more than 900 kilometers. At the same time, Nikola had neither a patent, nor engineers, nor chemists, nor any published scientific papers. In fact, they just bought the battery manufacturer Zapco for $56 million and hyped its carbon-ion battery technology, talking about how it will soon change the world. The irony is that the technology at Zapco did not exist at all. It was a scam within a scam. At the same time, in November 2019, he cashed out $70 million and bought the most expensive house in Utah, a $33 million mansion on a 1,100-hectare ranch. So long story short, Trevor's scheme is quite simple, broad statements to make a couple of interested partners jump at the bait. Then he appeals to the fact of such a partnership to attract investors. Next step is to show how many investors there are, to attract other partners, and to use their brands to get even more investors. Wash, rinse, repeat. If at some point the scheme sags, he adds even more hot air, or a video with an allegedly completed project on its own YouTube channel, where at its peak a video was released almost every month. Having thoroughly stirred an audience with promises, on June 4, 2020, the company went for IPO. Through a process known as reverse merger that allowed her to keep her numbers private. At first it was estimated at $15 billion. But in 2 weeks, by June 19, stocks skyrocketed a double. The company raced to a $34 billion valuation. In September, General Motors acquired a share in the company for $2 billion. The price was very favorable. For this rate they attained as much as 11% of the shares. In retaliation to such generosity, GM pledged to produce Nikola trucks, which it continued to actively sell to users from its website. It all ended with several investment funds that poured cash into his company suing Nikola, accusing the owners of false claims about their technologies. The process dragged on for almost a year, and finally in July 2021, a jury held that Trevor Milton was guilty of 3 cases of criminal fraud, including deception of investors and fraud using electronic means. Eventually, Trevor was released on bail of $100 million. At the trial, he didn't plead guilty and insisted that he hadn't done anything illegal. Now Trevor still owns a 20% share in the company. He, according to his version, voluntarily resigned as CEO of the company so that it could focus on future projects. Nikola is still on the market, worth about $5 billion, and its stock is slowly going up and down. That is, Trevor is still a free man and a billionaire. Nikola, as cheerfully as they pronounce themselves, continues to move forward under the new management. The other day there was information that the company has an agreement to settle all issues with regulators by paying $125 million to the U.S. Securities Commission. The company is seeking reimbursement of this fine and legal fees from Milton, who remains its major shareholder. It is stated that the company doesn't deny its obligations and promises to deliver the first 25 electric trucks to customers in the United States by the end of this year. Or the next one, as it goes, because you can make promises almost endlessly. What does all this exaggerated story have to do with other, more famous companies on the market? Let everyone think for himself. Maybe this is a really good example of how you can make a large company and a well-known brand from scratch, so to speak, a star to steer by? Or is it just an utmost piece of the fact that no one needs a real economy anymore? When there is nothing, you can promise anything: a new era, miracles, any percentage of profit. Lying is no longer considered a crime, it is now called a personal opinion. Let's discuss this in the comments. Thank you for watching, giving a fair rate to the release, and see you on our channel.